Howdy, friends. Have you heard of Russian ruble crashing? Most likely you have. But have you heard that Russian ruble, the crash is still going on, and Russian central bank is desperately trying to keep tabs under inflation and Russian ruble devaluing, and it can't. You probably haven't heard that. I'm going to tell you that today, and quite a few other crazy news. In the last 2 weeks, there have been so many crazy events generating crazy news in Russia that I could literally speak for hours of them. So I've decided to pick the best, the cream of the crop of the crazy news, and I'm gonna give them to you today. So thank you very much for coming. My name is Konstantin, and you are at Inside Russia, where usual Russia explained by the unusual Russian. Without further ado, let's jump right into the crazy news. You know, I don't even know where to start. Russian government is getting crazier and crazier. And this is what happened recently. The Russian government has submitted to Russian parliament a large-scale draft amendment to 11 federal laws on the special procedure for processing personal data of officials, judges, military personnel, and security forces officers. Those people will be classified, well, actually they're already classified by the law that the Vladimir Putin signed as significant categories of Russian citizens. Significant. This new bill contains 28 pages of amendments allowing authorized bodies, the Ministry of Defense, KGB, FSB, FSO, Secret Service of Russia, and sometimes the Ministry of Internal Affairs to make clarification, extraction, depersonalization, blocking, deletion, or destruction of information that is contained in informational systems of any kind in Russia. Information system operators will be required to provide access to the systems and perform the data manipulation prescribed, ordered to them within 3 days after the request of authorized, body that was as authorized by this law. Well, Russian government just introduced a new paradigm. Significant citizens. And it actually defined significant citizens. A very black and white type of thing, Again, the significant citizens are those who are part of the government. The KGB officers, military personnel, and so forth, the bureaucrats. It appears that the other categories of citizens are insignificant. Is it news? Oh, not really. This is a new caste system, none other. And this new caste system takes roots way back into Russian history. If we, go back a little bit, we'll see, quite a bit. We will see the nobles and peasants. Then in the USSR, they were nomenklatura, the ruling class, the communist bosses, and ordinary citizens who didn't have many rights. And now it's significant citizens and insignificant citizens. Aren't we living in the 21st century? Isn't everyone significant these days? Apparently not in Russia. Whoa. Moving on. Russia has its own Google. It's called Yandex. Russian IT giant Yandex has a search engine and a bunch of very convenient services, such as Yandex Market, kind of like a Russian equivalent of Amazon, Yandex Food Delivery, Yandex Music, and dozens of other online services like that. Yandex Taxi, a Russian equivalent of Uber, is among those super convenient services. I personally have been using Yandex Taxi for years. Well, get this. According to a new Russian law, it's hot in here, I apologize. According to a new Russian law, Yandex, this IT giant, will be forced to disclose to the Russian KGB and other special services all the data about its customers, the taxi users. At a request of KGB, Yandex is obliged to disclose everything about customers, taxi riders, from where to where, when, how often, how much, how fast, this type of information. A lot of people in Russia were sure that KGB had complete and full access to any information on any person. Well, they were wrong. KGB didn't know everything about everyone back then. But guess what? KGB knows now. It has complete and all information about everyone, including where they go, when they take taxi, where they go from and where they go to, and how much they pay for that, and how often do they ride. And we are moving on until the next news. How about the African villages in Russia? Have you heard that? I bet you have not. It was just announced that a couple days ago that about 30 African villages for migrants from African countries will be built in Russia. This happened after Russia-Africa summit happened recently, as you know, and it was a very significant event, not that significant from the political point of view, but significant that it showed how Putin and how Russian politics are working right now and what their goals are and where they aim at, okay? So I'm going to make a separate stream on that. For now, after the summit, Russian-African summit, they announced that there will be 30 villages, well, perhaps large villages built for African migrants. And this is how Russia's president is trying to win African countries' dictator. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to say the presidents, the leaders, African countries' democratic leaders, of course, democratic leaders. Some of them they have been in the power for, 40 years, since the 80s. Yeah. So this is how Russia is trying to kiss their buttocks. First, writing off $23 billion debt that those countries owe to Russia. And now they're building 30 African villages inside Russia for the Africans moving and that will be moving and will be residing in Russia. So many Russian citizens, the born and raised in Russia, Russian by birth, they have debts to banks. And I'm pretty sure that love their debts to be written off. And there are so many millions of Russians live in poverty. And many millions don't even have places to live. They would love new villages to build for them. But not such luck. The luck is of the Africans. Now, I was thinking, perhaps Russians are mistaken about Putin. Perhaps Putin is not their president. Perhaps he's the president of the Africans, since he doesn't do much for the Russians and, for the Russian citizens, but he does things for the Africans, the African president. How about that, folks? Let's think about it. And we're moving on to the next news. Good one. The city administration of a Russian city called Orel has recently started an official search for those willing to lend its money. Money. Local administration created an order on a website, platform called Cities Public Procurement. So it created a procurement order. And it's looking for someone to lend its money. And the general information about the order, a lender is being searched to provide services for provision of credit resources to Orel city administration, so it can borrow money and repay municipal bond to the lender, so it can finance city's budget deficit. The mayor office is asking to provide city with a revolving credit line with a limit of 315 million rubles, which is roughly, $3 million. And he needs the credit for up to 1 year. In mid-June of 2023, Deputy Mayor of Orel, Alexei Stepanov, admitted that due to the debts of the mayor's office, city's bank accounts could soon be blocked if the city would not receive financial assistance from, anywhere, from the higher level of Russian government. I guess they did not get that assistance, so they're asking for private investors to lend them money so they can borrow and repay the debts. And then they'll repay the lender later. But it gets more interesting, okay? Early in August, what happened in Orel? I thought at first it was a freak of an accident, but no. Early in August, it became known that the mayor's office of Vladivostok, which is Russia's biggest Pacific deep-sea port, in a city of 600,000 people, very, very significant, important city on the Pacific, right next to Japan, 22nd largest city in Russia, also searched for a lender to borrow 1 billion rubles to finance budget deficit. That's roughly $10 million. Now, wait a second. This has never happened before. This is a very serious indication that current economic disaster is in the making because something is broken. You see, Russian cities' budget deficits were always, and there are many, okay, but they were always covered by Russian government, by Moscow, by federal government. And this is how the system works, this system of vertical power. It strips you all the rights and it strips you all the money, takes all your money that you make, and you send it to Moscow, to the federal budget. But it gives you the money that you need to cover, the work of the administration, your current expenses. And now, you see, Moscow, the federal budget, does not give money anymore. And the cities must borrow money from investors or whoever, to cover their debts. So the things aren't going according to the plan, right? That's food for thought. If Orel, at first I thought, Orel, what's a small city? More like a town. Big deal. The mayor could have gone crazy, but when I heard about Vladivostok, oh boy, that's different. I almost forgot. No applications for lending money were ever submitted in both cities, in Orel and in Vladivostok. No one is stupid enough to lend to Russian government. And we are moving on to the next news. And this news is kind of emotional. It's not that crazy, but it's significant anyway. The largest European companies suffered direct losses from leaving Russia after February 22nd. 24th, 2022. They've suffered direct losses of at least 100 billion euro. That's according to Financial Times, European equivalent of Wall Street Journal estimation. The oil and gas companies, the financial companies, and utility companies from the UK, Germany, and France suffered the most. Now, I want to remind you something. In the days after the start of the war, in late February and early March of 2022, when many Western companies immediately after the start of the war announced that they were going to leave Russia and they didn't want to work in Russia, they didn't want to sell their products in Russia, they just basically didn't want to do anything with Russia anymore. Russian politicians were saying left and right, out loud, publicly, oh, they will never leave, they're just bluffing. All they care is a dollar. They don't have values. Their value is profit. They're capitalists. They're from the West, They're vultures. They will never leave. They don't care about the war. They just, You see, Russian politicians used own system of values to judge the Western companies. It's the Russian politicians who care about money. It's the Russian politicians. To them, the buck is everything. If all Western companies cared solely about the money, they would never have left and they would have lost 100 billion euros, okay? But those politicians, that just shows their true nature. And I don't forget, and I do not forgive. I have every name written down, when and what they said, back in late February and in March, early March of 2022. And we are moving on to the next news. So another crazy news. Have you heard of a company called Metafrax? I haven't until recently, and it made Russian news. Prosecutor General's office has legalized the seizure. What's this word? Theft, seizure, grab of the property of a company called Metafrax, one of the largest methanol production plants in Russia. The supervisory authority, which is Russian General Prosecutor's Office, Prosecutor's General's Office, believes that in the 90s, the plant was illegally privatized, and now it's controlled from the United States of America, which violates Russian economic sovereignty. This is definitely crazy news. Think about this. Back in the 90s, Russian economy was being privatized. Anyone could get possession of Russian plants, everything. And that's what people did. And, most likely, some American capital, someone with American money came and privatized that factory legally. Why legally? Because for 30 years, Russian government, Russian prosecutor's office, KGB, did not have one single question for the shareholders of this plant. The plant worked, it paid taxes, it generated value, it created products. Great, right? Wrong! Because this is 2023. And this is a great opportunity to steal for the government. And this is what they do. This is just, it's sad, I don't know what to say. I guarantee you that investors, foreign investors, not just Western, but any kind of investors, will not come anywhere near Russia for the next 30, 40, perhaps 50 years. Because it's happening now, it might happen to them in the future. Because in Russia, the history keeps on repeating itself. And we are moving on to the next news, which is, another crazy one. There's a region in Russia. It's called Bashkiria. It's like a province, okay? I think it's a Republic of Bashkiria, province of Bashkiria, that type of thing. It's like a state in the United States. And of course it has leadership. It has governor, it has deputies, and it has Congress, local Congress. I don't know, sometimes we call it Congress, local congressmen, sometimes selectmen, whatever. It's like local senators. So there's one guy, he's his name is Konstantin Talkachev, okay? So he got upset. He got upset that the companies and people do not use the red flag of the USSR often enough on the V-Day and, just in regular life. And he decided that not displaying the red flag, which he called the victory flag, okay, but it's really the USSR flag, deserves a punishment. And he actually made a law. Such punishment will be placed upon residents so they comply with the previously adopted law in Bashkiria, which orders hanging, placing a copy of this historic flag on official buildings during the celebration of the Victory Day in World War II. If the officials, the state officials, the businessmen, they don't display this red flag, they will be fined a hefty amount. And regular people might be fined as well. That's the next step. Konstantin Talkachev believes that such punishment, such penalties, will help to prevent the spread of xenophobia and fascism in Russian society. I thought for quite some time, how would I comment this? What would I say? And I decided that by just telling you this news is enough, because it does not need any comments or explanations. Mr. Talkachev was wrong about two things: xenophobia and fascism. Well, he's kind of right, but in the wrong way. Moving on to the next news. This one is a crazy one, especially, I don't know, if there are Austrians watching this right now, would you please comment and let me know what is happening in your opinion, because I don't quite understand this. Former Austrian foreign minister Karin Kneissl, she left the country quite some time, because quite some time, I think about 6 months ago, she left Austria, because she was receiving threats and accusations of ties with Russia. She moved to Russia. She rented a house in the village of Petrushevo in the Ryazan region, and Russian newspaper journalists met with her at a local festival. It's called the Crown of Summer, and the former minister told them that her friends in Russia helped her to rent this house. She said that she paid for a couple months, and then she's going to see what she's going to do next. Her future is kind of open. According to her, she continues to write books, engage in teaching. She was also invited to work with Gorky Center at St. Petersburg State University. And she is listed on St. Petersburg State University's website as the head of this Gorky Center. Now, I only found this news from the Russian newspapers. So, disclaimer, I don't know how real, how truthful they are. But if they are, let's suppose these news are true about Karen Kneissel. What the heck? Her moving to Russia, her friends in Russia helping to rent her apartment and lending her a job. I mean, isn't that kind of a proof that she had ties with Russia? Again, I'm really confused. The Austrians out there, would you please let me know what you think? Sounds crazy to me, but let's move on. I have this fantastic news, okay? At last, a news that is going to make people's lives easier in Russia. That doesn't come often, as you know. Russian parliament proposed to reduce the work week by 4 hours to 36 hours, from 40 hours a week to 36 hours a week. So Russian people would work until Friday lunchtime and would leave work at lunch. This proposal was made by Russian senator. The senator explained that this concept, this thing, is practiced in developed countries and meets the capabilities of current state of Russian labor market. So, at first I thought, he's absolutely crazy. Russian labor market is under tremendous pressure because many Russian men have left the country in the last 15 months, especially in the last 10 months after the mobilization was announced. Some experts estimate those who have left at 3 million people. 3 million people. And I know that for sure because lots of jobs available in Russia and very few people to fill the positions. And they're offered more and more money. Companies try to win people over with money, and then that contributes to higher inflation. This is an economic process that I study. I know that well, okay? So what the Russian senators need to do, they need to increase the work week by 4 hours, not decrease it by 4 hours, okay? And that's going to be help to business because right now, the capabilities of Russian labor market are absolutely opposite from what this guy says, okay? It's a disaster. And then when I heard the end of the story, everything clicked. Apparently, the senators will start an experiment, this 36-hour work week, and they will start the experiment with themselves. Makes perfect sense. The defense rests its case. And we are moving. This is ingenious, you know. Why didn't they think of it before? Let's move on to the next news. It's actually a pretty serious one. You know, in Russia, in order for a person to be searched, house to be searched, the operatives, whoever conducts search, for example, police force or KGB or I don't know, whoever, whatever agency, they need search warrant from a judge. You know, just like in the USA, just probably like in Europe, they present the case that they suspect of someone in wrongdoing and they need to search a house. And if their arguments are strong enough, then the judge grants the warrants, search warrant, okay? And then they go and do the search. On August 7th, an order of the Federal Security Service, FSB, of Russia, KGB, came into force concerning the conduct of public operational search activities, including searches of homes, without court warrant, in exceptional cases, of course. The new order is in addition to the law called Unoperational Investigative Activities, which lists all the grounds for conducting searching of premises, buildings, structures, terrains, and vehicles. The new order gives the right to FSB, KGB operatives to conduct, I quote, to conduct search that breaks the constitutional right of citizens to inviolability of their homes. Just like that, it says right in the order. Breaks the constitutional right of citizens. Incredible. FSB will have to inform courts and judges about such searches executed without warrants within 24 hours. In other ways, they do the search, and in 24 hours, they just have to notify the court. Say, hey, just to let you know, we did this search. That's all. Inform the courts. I love that, According to the order, if in emergency cases, of course, only in emergency cases, okay? That's constitutional right is holy, and it cannot be broken. It can be, but only in emergency cases. So, if such emergency case happens, who decides whether it's emergency and premises can be searched without court warrant? So, the director of the FSB of Russia himself, okay, the head of the KGB, his deputies, heads of departments, their deputies, heads of territorial security agencies, heads of security agencies in the military, as well as border agencies will be able to issue search permits without court approval. So pretty much everyone and his brother will be able to authorize a search without a warrant. And what do Russian senators say about that? In the Russian parliament, the new powers of the FSB have already been called protection from arbitrariness. The clearer the regulations, the less arbitrariness, Russian senators say. I'd put it a little differently, The fewer rights people have, the less arbitrariness. Because no matter what KGB does, it becomes legal. Therefore, there's less arbitrariness. I'm often asked this question, one question. You keep on telling that the Russian government strips Russian citizens of the rights. What's the evidence that the Russian citizens are stripped of their rights? Show us the money. Show us the definite examples. Give us one example at least. I get asked that a lot. And this is a prime example. This is a stepping stone. And this is how they work. And we're moving on. Next comes news from Mariupol, very sad ones. Crazy, yes. Sad, incredibly. It's not actually from Mariupol, it's about Mariupol. Mariupol used to be a Ukrainian city that was annexed by Russia. And once Mariupol was a flourishing city. I've been to Mariupol many times. Not too far from Rostov, like 100 miles. The city where I used to live. I drove through Mariupol. I stayed there. I dined there. I met people there 15 years ago, 10 years ago. Place was, the only problem with Mariupol was there was a huge steel mill, Azovstal, and the weather, air was polluted quite often. Other than that, it was pretty flourishing, great-looking city. Last year was razed by Russian army, and this is what the politicians said after Russia captured Mariupol. I quote Prime Minister of so-called Donetsk People Republic, Hatsenko, he said on October 5th, 2022, Mariupol airport will be restored in 2023. I quote Minister of Transportation of Russian Federation, Vitaly Savelyev, what he said in June of 2023 this year. He said, I quote, Mariupol airport will be restored in 2025. And now, I quote, Deputy Prime Minister of Russian Federation himself, Mr. Marat Husnulin, very famous guy, is in charge of a lot of infrastructure construction project, federal projects. And this is what he said on August 14th, which is yesterday. He said, I quote, we will not restore Mariupol airport. I was thinking for a while again, how can I comment this? What can I say? Nothing. This is beyond commenting. It really offends and hurts me that I am also Russian just like them, along with them. Never happened before, but when I hear these people speak, I'm ashamed. Moving on. I'm going to give you some statistics now. The statistics you can actually trust. Vladimir Putin will spend 10 trillion rubles, Russian rubles, on war in 2023. It's easy to learn. You just need to look at the open part of Russia's federal budget. But let's compare. You know how many rubles will be paid to retired Russians in forms of pensions for their work, for working for decades, okay? 9.5 trillion rubles. That's the entire amount of how much will be distributed among old Russians, all retired Russians. And that is a reward for their work. If Russia would give up spending money at war, right now, all retirees could be receiving twice as much money every month. And that could happen tomorrow, with one condition. Russia would need to stop spending money on war. But Russia doesn't do that. Russian government keeps making missiles that keep killing the Ukrainians. And I'm moving on to the next news. Today, Russia, no pun intended, today, as of today, RT, Russia Today, news agency, Russian propaganda at its finest, okay, quoted Sergei Shoigu. Again, this news is so crazy, I couldn't believe it. It's worth me quoting RT again, that quoted Shoigu. Now, what Shoigu said was this. One of the main goals of special military operation is freeing captive Russian soldiers from Ukrainian armed forces. Let me read it again. One of the main goals of special military operation is freeing captive Russian soldiers from Ukrainian armed forces. So you want to free captive Russian soldiers? Why did you start the war in the first place? No one was captured. Russian soldiers were, doing whatever they were doing, not killing anyone, not in the Ukrainian territory. If you didn't start the war, they wouldn't have been captured, right? Again, I don't know what to say. Logic just fails working here. It's crazy news from crazy people. Or after a while, I might actually figure it out what Shoigu meant, or what RT was doing, or what they're all doing, okay? They are of such low opinion of mental capabilities of Russian populace that they troll openly, and they laugh by making statements, by sending messages into public, messages like that. And I must admit that they aren't far from the truth. Moving on into the next news. I'll actually give you news that proves that not all Russian senators are bad. Some are good ones. It's like Sodom and Gomorrah, okay? That story. Show me that there's one person or 10 people, righteous people there, and I will spare these cities. Well, there are righteous senators in the Russian Senate. I kid you not. Now, I'm going to prove it to you right now. This news proves that some of the senators, the rulers of Russia, the government people, they really care about people. They care about people's health. They want good for people, okay? They want everyone to be healthy. And it's a very noble cause. I totally agree. And this is why they want to outlaw vegetarianism. You heard me right. One of our Russian senators started discussion of a new law that will or would ban propagating vegetarianism. Among children, of course. Among children only, and for their own good. And that's, by the way, very first step on the way to a complete ban, because this is how you start banning things. First, you ban for small category of people, for example, children. Of course, children's health is top priority for us. We will take care of it. And then, once everyone gets used to this idea, you will extend it for people under the 30, and then until old people, stuff like that. You see, according to Russian Senator Mikhail Vetrov, vegetarianism is an incredibly bad and unhealthy habit for people, way of eating. Therefore, vegetarian diet must only be prescribed by doctors. That's what the guy says, okay? At first, to children only, of course, to their own good, of course, to their own safety. But we know what happens next. I wonder how Mikhail Vetrov knows that vegetarianism, not eating meat, is bad. Is he a doctor? No. A nutritionist, perhaps? No. He doesn't need a degree of any kind. He doesn't need education or nonsense like that. He is a Russian senator, and Russian senators know everything right from their birth. They know what's right for Russian people, and they know what's bad for Russian people. And definitely vegetarianism is incredibly bad for children, and it must be banned. So he knows that not eating meat is bad, and he must make it illegal for the 140 plus million people and their children in Russia. Shouldn't they decide for themselves what to eat? Huh? Who said that? You? You said that they should decide to eat what to do for themselves? Hey, take them away. 15 years for spreading fakes of Russian army. Moving on to the next news. And finally, the major news, the biggest, the primiest, the ginormous news of the last 2 weeks, the crash of Russian ruble. Let me fill you real quick on what has happened. That's actually very simple. Russian ruble started losing its value fast against other currencies. No wonder. You don't have to be rocket scientist to understand what's going on. You just have to be an economist. Not too long ago, Russian ruble was trading at around 81 rubles for $1 American. And after Wagner's mutiny, ruble started quickly losing its value. It jumped to 94 during the mutiny because, panic. Unstable situation, no one really knows what's going on. They buy dollar, they get rid of rubles. Makes sense. So it jumped to 94 rubles for $1, and then Russian central bank stepped in. It decided to help ruble, to strengthen its value a little bit. So on July 21st, it raised key interest rate from 7.5 to 8.5%, the key interest rate. It was a pretty tough move. It was supposed to decrease money mass, to make bank loans more expensive, so they're taking less and less money is in circulation. But at the same time, that move curbed, well, at least was an attempt to curb raising inflation, because the exchange rate, raising exchange rate for Russian ruble is bringing the prices of everything in Russia higher, okay? Because Russia doesn't produce anything, it imports, and it needs dollars to import. So therefore, if $1 if ruble is stronger, then it's good for those who import. If ruble is weaker, it's really bad for those who import. The price is simply higher. Russian consumers pay higher prices, right? Let's say, I don't know, TV set costs 100 rubles, $100 in China. And you buy it for $100, and if its ruble is exchange rate $1 at, let's say, 84 rubles, then a TV set in Russia costs 8,400 rubles. But the next day, the interest rate jumps to, let's say, 100 rubles, and the same TV from the same China for the same $100 already for Russian consumer costs 10,000 rubles, okay? But the Russian people, their salary doesn't jump up and down, okay? It's stable and it's low. So the higher exchange rate, the less they can afford. So basically, it's pretty bad for the consumers, and that drives the inflation up. I tried to explain it very simple. So usually, when you increase interest rate, it helps ruble. It increases ruble's value. Okay, it drives the interest rate down, and key interest rate is one of the tools that any central bank has just for that purpose, to keep the inflation down, to strengthen local currency. Surprisingly, increasing the key rate did not help in the late July. Russian ruble kept losing value fast, and 4 days ago, it hit 100 rubles for $1, and it kept on climbing up. Up to this moment, to that moment, it's not crazy news. It's actually, for the clueless ones, it could be crazy news. But for you who listen to me and watch me regularly, and I've been talking about this for the past 15 months of Russian economy crashing, and this is it, okay? This is the moment. One of those moments when Titanic is completely down and starts going down, okay? Ruble crashing due to very understood reason up to that point. Any sane economist understands that. It's not rocket science again. Ruble crashing is not crazy news. What happened after ruble reached 100 point, exchange rate was reached 100 rubles for $1. That started becoming crazy news, okay? Ruble kept losing value, and central bank started worrying because, hey, just 3 weeks before, they increased the interest rate by huge number, by 1%, by 100 points. And it doesn't happen often. Central bank might raise interest rate once a year or lower interest rate once a year. That happens, okay? So they used one of their nuclear tools, so to speak, one of the major tools, and it didn't work, and they started worrying. Hey, I'd be worrying too. So Russian central bank raised the key interest rate again in an emergency move. And now they raised it from 8.5% to 12%. 3.5%. This is just unheard of. This is huge, okay? This doesn't happen in a normal country with normal economy, but in Russia, anything goes, okay? Desperate measures need desperate times need desperate measures, so to speak. Basically, central bank just put a foot on the brake pedal of the economy real hard, okay? It's slowing down the economy, but at the same time, it's slowing down the inflation, okay? And it strengthens local currency, ruble. Yes, Russian economy starts spiraling down even further and even quicker. But hey, inflation is not that high. It's at least under control, some level. It didn't work. It did not work. Ruble gained a bit of value yesterday, and when central bank announces that it is going to take unusual measures to help ruble, it keeps strengthening just on the news, okay? And it briefly happened yesterday, but then nothing happened. So ruble started climbing high again. The exchange rate started climbing high again. The news didn't help. So the central bank increased the interest rate to 12%, and it didn't help. The ruble went down to 95, and now, today, right now, it's close to 90 again. It's close to 100 again. And 100 is not a good number for exchange rate, Russian ruble to American dollar. It means that all prices in Russia, for everything, for food, for services, for goods, for everything, they will jump from 20 to 80% dependent on a product, dependent on a good, very soon, within 2 weeks. From 20 to 80%. Just think about this. You go to a store, like you go to a store every day, and you buy food. And everything else stays the same, but you go to a store one day, and your food costs 30% more overnight. That's what is going to happen within a couple weeks, and it waits all the Russians. And you know what the problem is? What makes it a real crazy news? Because raising key interest rate is a mighty powerful tool that usually works. It is used to keep inflation low, and just look at the USA, okay? Inflation was going pretty bad, and the Federal Reserve has started slowing down the economy, and it's started slowing down the inflation, and it's actually done a decent job, okay? It's working. But it's not working in Russia because there are too many factors. In Russia, what's happening right now, and this is why I keep on telling, the Titanic is going down, because this is a perfect storm, perfect economical storm, perfect disaster. The Titanic has been flooded already and submerged under the surface, and it's going down, okay? So the crazy news is that central bank yesterday raised key interest rate by 3.5%, and today it's saying that it's not working. And it starts talking about the next session very soon, and the speculations are that it'll increase key interest rate to 15%. Okay, it means so many things for the economy, bad things. Imagine if you go out there and get a credit card, and your credit card interest rate is, I don't know, like 40%. Imagine if you go out to get a mortgage and they will tell you, oh, you know what, we'll give you a mortgage, but interest rate is 20% per annum. You know, what would you think? What would you say? That's a disaster, okay? And even the crazier news is that the government, not the central bank, because central bank does not have those tools, but the Russian Ministry of Finance started talking about forcefully making companies exchange dollars into rubles forcefully upon receiving payments in American dollars or in other currency, like euro, for example. But the thing is, that is so radical of a measure that you cannot say it's a free economy, okay, anymore. You cannot really say it about Russian economy at this point, but it's even worse. The government dictates you of how you sell the currency of your choice that you receive for the goods sold or services provided, okay? And this is just a road to straight down to the bottom, okay? And this is finally happening, what I've been talking about for 15, 16 months, okay? Russian economy is going there very, very fast. The next step, we're watching the prices. I guarantee you. The prices will jump by a huge amount within 2 to 3 weeks. I would say within 2 weeks. By September 1st, we will see an unbelievable situation that we have not seen in years and years. I think it's going to remind us early 90s. Inflation was incredibly high and economy was down the drain. I think we're not heading there in Russia, we're there already. And this, my friends, has been the crazy news update for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for coming. It's been a while since I streamed last time, 14 days exactly. It's good to be back. You know, daily streams as usual. I never intended on disappearing. I just took a little break, and quite a few things happened to me on this break. The good things, you know, personal things, and things about the channel too. So I'm going to be talking about it on Saturday, this coming Saturday, in a private stream for sponsors and patrons. I will share my thoughts and I will tell you where I see the channel is going in the future. Thank you so much for coming, giving me a chance. Thank you, you're fantastic. I missed you a lot. I miss doing the streams. I miss, you know, I miss this. I miss the community. And now I'm about to do the most incredible thing. I'm going to turn the live stream chat on. I miss that very much because this is the essence of the community. When I see the feedback, when I see everyone, when I see the screen coming to life, so it's going to be fantastic. Thank you so much. I invite everyone to carry on to the live stream chat. Say hello, ask questions, I'll try to answer them. And will be fantastic to meet everyone again 14 days later. I'm turning the live stream chat on, and while I'm doing it, asking you for a favor, as usual. Would you please help me to spread my message by making reposts in your social media accounts about this message? Thank you so much. And if you'd like to buy me coffee, I wouldn't mind that at all, because I missed tea and coffee. I drank very little of it. I was away. Thank you so much. And the live stream chat is on. It's fantastic. Oh, so many people. This is great. This is great. Moderators, hello. And if you have first time on this channel, if you're new, then please know that we have the best moderation team in the world at Inside Russia. Lorna, Mama K, Bob S, Harry Potman, Prince Amir, and Blackhead. Just fantastic people and friends. Thank you for coming. And the usual suspects. I missed you all. I missed you very much. Howdy. If you want me to notice your message or question easier, please put it in caps. And as usual, put Inside Russia after @ so I see it's highlighted in orange, and it's much easier for me to notice. Isma, thank you so much. It's fantastic to be back. Howdy everyone. John, Tupla Lusto. Met lots of Finnish people, met lots of British, Turkish, Russians, some Ukrainians. Eileen, Mr. Kaliskin, Paula W, Ree, Tomzok, Wanda, Pinda, Jennifer, Adnan, Koshkin Dom, Roy Cousins, Little Eden. It's fantastic to see you, friends. MTG Gaming Bob, long time no see. Relieved that you see. Okay. Well, I kind of kept in touch through 3 mediums. Through Patreon, I posted a few things, updates on Patreon. Through Instagram and through Telegram channel. I also posted some on community section for sponsors only. So I can't say that, and I did a couple community posts for everyone. I can't say that I just disappeared, you know. The moderators rock, says Dave Strains. Yes, I absolutely agree. Absolutely great. Micah, Dirk, can be F65. Thank you. I had a nice holiday. It was a 50-50. It was 50% holiday. Well, a little less than, I'd say 60% of a holiday and 40% of channel work. So, and I will tell you about the channel work in the closed private live stream on Saturday for sponsors and patrons. So if you want to become a sponsor or patron, you're very welcome to do that. Dan, thank you so much. Fantastic to have you too. Ed from Canada, howdy. Dr. Devil from Germany, good Abend. Paul Santak, howdy. Grace Philosophy, happy to see you too, Grace. Thank you so much for your prayers and questions. Stop scamming men. Good news regarding the energy transition from Maine. They surpassed their 25 target to install 100,000 heat pumps. Well, this is pretty cool. Heat pumps are actually great. They have now raised the 2025 target to 275. Wow. Let me tell you something. Heat pumps are one of those things that is a real deal, okay, in my opinion, as a person who's been in energy pretty much for the past 20 years. From what I understand, from what I know, is very, very green technology, real green, not like others. Kelvin, thank you so much. Potatoes are taken, thank you. And Doxy Mom, thank you for gifting sponsorship to 5 people. Thank you so much. Dan Caldwell, thanks for gifting to 10 people. Thank you. I appreciate it. And Jason Carney, the supporting champion of Inside Russia, is back. Thank you, Jason. Fantastic to see you. Thank you so much for support. We missed you. Talked about you with my wife. We talked a lot about the channel and all. And, please come back for whatchamacallit, the private stream. She's gonna be there next Saturday. So she will say thank you to you too. 777 Donnie, thank you so much. How's it going? Oh, it's going good, great. It's going much better now. It's friends, I was hanging by my teeth basically before I took a break. It was really difficult emotionally and physically, more emotionally than physically, but now I feel so much rejuvenated. Can't say rested. I didn't rest much, to be honest with you, but emotionally I'm rejuvenated, and I'm just getting started. Jason, thank you so much for the gift of 10 sponsorships. Thank you. This is cheers to you. Thank you. Nation Demon, howdy. Blue Daisy, Leitmotif, howdy. Thomas, at the wedding of Foreign Minister Karin Kneissel in 2018, her guest was Vladimir Putin. I remember that quite well. He danced with her, made news all over the place. The wedding was in Austria and Styria, very close to the border with Slovenia. So much for connections. Well, yes, we all heard of that. In Russia too. Grace Philosophy, thank you so much again. Seeing the second message. Zilozak, what happened to Zangief? I don't know. I haven't heard from him for a long time, and as far as I know, he hasn't posted anything, so basically looks like he quit YouTube. Isma, thank you so much for, the coffee taken, thank you. And MacFun, howdy from Switzerland. Thank you for sponsoring 10 people from me and from 10 people. Thank you so much. PMX Gaming, when will we get you singing in? You sure you want that? I don't know. As long as this wonderful song comes along as Karl Marxstadt, that's when I sing next time. Mikhail Asp, good to see you back. Thank you so much. It was a very strange experience not to do anything on YouTube because, as you know, I had done it for, since day one of the war. With the exceptions when I was sick, when I was in motion, if something came up. So it was very, very strange. I felt out of space somehow, at least for the first few days. What kept me away from a computer, from YouTube? My kids. I had all my 5 kids reunited again in one place, and when that happens, I forget about everything else. My wife was right next to me, my mom was next to us, and it was just like having, I can't even say good time, we're having time of our lives. So thank you so much. Stop scamming, man. Do you think Russia would struggle to sell off its gold reserves at market price? It started selling its gold reserves, but by little amount, not big amounts, okay? I think at this point, yes, it would have hard time selling gold at market price, just like it's been having hard time to sell oil, because oil is a black gold, at the market price. Now, it's easier, of course, to sell gold than oil, But still, there is a lot of pressure on Russia from every direction. And I think that the buyers of Russian gold, they would be driving the prices down and they would be getting lots of discounts. Bobby Cuddle, paying it forward to the community. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it very much. You look and feel so much less stressed. Lovely to see. The Highwayman. Howdy, friend. Thank you for observation. I do feel rejuvenated. I do feel full of energy. I do feel like I can take mountains and move them now. Okay. I was feeling pretty darn, can't say bad, but I was very emotionally, I was burnt inside, before I went in late July. So it took me 2 weeks to recharge. And now I have my loved ones by my side at all time. So that's going to give me so much more energy. You watch me. From Finland with love. I love the name. Thank you so much for your support. Nice to have you back. You're very important to us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think you're more important, I don't know, probably both equally important, because you are so important to me too. Like, again, I felt out of space without getting feedback, without talking to people, without, the whole thing is just, I guess I'm hooked on YouTube. You can say that. I really like doing it too. 1729 Taurus, thank you. I really appreciate your channel and regular updates. What does rate rise mean for debt bubble you've discussed? Seems senators want to avoid honest debate about overall state of Russia and the war. They don't want to avoid honest debate. They are not allowed to speak, because there are puppet masters. We all know who they are in Russia. Okay, they're the speaker of the parliament and the chief of staff of the president. That they actually give orders of what senators cannot say. Okay, so it's not a matter of discussing. It's a matter of debating. It's a matter of just obeying. Okay, what does rate rise mean for debt bubble you've discussed? Debt bubble, there are many debt bubbles right now. Which one do you mean? Which one are you asking of? In general words, and I'm gonna make a stream about that. In general words, what it means, availability of money is going to be much less. Is it to say less, right? It's going to be much more difficult to take out bank loans. And it's already difficult as it is, okay, for companies, because no one wants to give money for long-term projects, because no one knows what's going to happen in the future in Russia. We only see like 1 week ahead of us, and that's it. If you want to build a power plant, you're going to look 15 years ahead of you, because you need to borrow money, you need to build it, and you need to start operating and the power plant and, making electricity, heat for at least 10, 12, 15 years to return your investments. Okay, that's what's needed. How can you do that in Russia now? No way. What banks are doing, they're giving out unsecured personal loans. Okay, because it's easier for them to come and take away your belongings. But then that's not going to save banks either. Okay, they're just trying to make as much right now at the moment as possible. And they know that, they know what's coming. They know they just want money now, basically. The more loans they give out, the more money they make at the moment. So please specify which bubble you meant. Carson Larimore, if Russia were cooking the books, would this also make it harder for Ruble to improve? Ruble cannot improve, plain and simple. It's not hard for the ruble to improve right now. It's impossible, because in order for ruble to improve, you have to have certain conditions. You can't have war. You cannot have half of your budget being spent on missiles that are flown to Ukraine, and they just, boom, money gone, and they kill other people along. They take their lives along with it. What the hell? Okay? This is not how the economy works. Russians, the best, the cream of the crop, the smartest, the most energetic, run as fast as they can. There are so many of them have run away, okay? That does not make economy stronger. That does not contribute to stronger ruble. And there are so many things like that. So it's a perfect storm in Russia right now. And with this perfect storm, first of all, in order to stop it, it's possible, of course, but the war must be stopped. Russian troops must be withdrawn, okay? Peace must be made with Ukraine. Peace must be made with international community, okay? Russia would need to be allowed to trade again. Russia would not need to threaten, just wouldn't be able to threaten anyone for the rest of time, basically. And there are so many other things like that. The regime needs to be changed. And this is what will drive Russian ruble up. It'll bring it back to respectable currency. It is not now. And it's just not a matter of cooking books. It's a matter of doing the right thing. Mikhail, is weak currency only bad? Russia gets more rubles for the same amount of oil, natural resources. It's a trap, and I'll tell you why. Dirk Misler, thank you so much. Happy birthday, Lisa. Lisa, okay, we have a birthday girl. Excellent. So, where is it? Brian, thank you so much. Thank you. Where is Lisa's birthday? I'm not seeing it. Mods, help me out. I'm missing birthday. Dirk, thanks for... Oh, there you go. Lisa. I found it, but took me a while to scroll up. Who wanted to hear me sing? Well, now you have a chance. I warn everyone. Please cover up your ears. Here it goes. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lisa. Happy birthday to you. Wishing you many happy returns of the day. Have great health, great wealth, and many smiles and reasons to smile, and have wonderful people surround you. Happy birthday. Mikhail, I would like to answer your question. Is weak currency only bad? I think you meant to say something else. The currency is not only bad. Russia gets more rubles for the same amount of oil, natural resources. Well, yes, but Russia does not produce anything. It produces nothing. Therefore, it buys everything from abroad with American dollars or euros or Chinese yuan. Therefore, Russian government exporting oil and gas, well, mostly oil now, it does get more rubles in exchange with high interest rate, but it's only good for being able to pay government employees, which is plenty in Russia. Russian government is becoming the biggest, well, it has become the biggest, and it's becoming the only job giver to the people, okay? So Russian government will benefit at the moment, not in the long run, but in a very short run, for a few months. But then negative effects, the primarily high inflation, will devastate the positive effects, okay? Russian economy is at the point where it's harder and harder for the government to control it. Okay, and it's very artificial. It's created by the government. It's lost its bread makers. You know, the oil and gas, obviously. It's gained lots of extra expenses. Just compare the country to household, okay? If you do the same work that you do, you have the same job, but all of a sudden you start making twice as little, and your expenses go up by twice as much, okay? Just put everything else aside, and that's a disaster. That's what's happened to Russia. Okay, so if you keep on driving the exchange rate up, the prices will be higher and higher, and people will not take it for a long time. I think the only thing that can actually change Russians' minds is when they open their fridges and there's nothing there. Okay, that's the only thing. So not very good for the Russian government. Aspen English, thank you so much. Definitely will make a stream about the economy coming up. This is what I have in mind. I have this great idea of how Russia is different from the West. I would like to approach at the angle I have never approached before. I would like to simplify. I would like to look not to the West and to Russia not as countries, large countries, but as villages and how they run. And I most likely will make a video. Then there's another stream coming up for mobilization. This is the second most important issue in Russia right now after Russian ruble. I believe mobilization is looming, not the one that's been going on. It never stopped really, but that's a hidden mobilization, okay? I think in September, a huge one will be publicly announced, and it will be affected. It will affect, I don't know, up to 1 million people, from 500,000 to 1 million. So this is another very important topic for the stream. Economy and mobilization probably tomorrow, day after tomorrow. And I have tons of other ideas too. Brought them from my break. We have a new sponsor, Verity. Read more. Welcome to Inside Russia. Thank you so much for becoming part of this sponsorship community. MacFun, there are still no sanctions against Rosatom. which continues to produce and sell fuel elements from nuclear power plants also for Western countries. From what I understand, Rosatom and its clients are given from 2 to 3 years. It's a grace period where the existing clients need to switch from Russian nuclear fuel elements to non-Russian. Not a huge expert on Rosatom and nuclear power. We worked for Rosatom. We were subcontracted on 2 occasions. And how do I put it mildly and softly and politely? Rosatom fudged us both times. He just doesn't pay. Rosatom does not pay, okay? You perform work, and then you have to go to court, and there's a lengthy trial, and you win, but it's like 2 years, and the money devalued, and no one wants to touch Rosatom inside Russia, okay? But you're right, still no sanctions for this very same reason, because they, the customers of Rosatom, they need fuel, and they need to buy things from Rosatom. But that's not going to last. From now, I think 2 more years, and that's it. There will be a switch. Sounds like 1984. What's much worse than that? I think that 1984 is like children's book compared to what's happening in Russia right now. Not just in Russia. China is pretty bad as well. China today made a law that forbids disclosing unemployment rate among young people. The latest numbers were 21% of youth, of like young adults in China were unemployed, 21%. That's pretty bad, okay? And China doesn't want to disclose that number anymore. That's not free society. You can't do that in a free society, okay? Stefan from Sweden, thank you so much. $60 for your great job on videos. Great to see you here again, and great that you got a so well-earned break together with the family and friends. Stefan, thank you. Fantastic to have you as a member of Inside Russia community, and thank you for your support. I appreciate it very much. Thanks for your questions and comments, and thanks for being here. And thanks, everyone. We need you in Ireland. Hey, cheers to you. That's tea. That's not, Scotch. Not Scotch. Irish. You have Irish whiskey too, right? Pinda, are all the Russian reserves used up already? You think at the beginning of the SMO, the reserves were at $6 billion? No, not $6 billion. 6 trillion rubles were available, liquid assets, cash in the bank accounts. At first I thought you were talking about people, the reservists. Look, not completely gone, but getting depleted, getting there, okay? When I was making forecast in the beginning of the year, I said around late summer in the fall, they will use up. The latest I heard, they had around 5.2 trillion. I will make sure that I will find out. Okay, it's not easy to do that these days because there's different information in different outlets, but I will try to find out. Thank you for your question. Thanks for the support, and thanks for you being you. Hostile respite. Make him stop singing font. Thank you. No problem here. But you know what? Hey, when someone's birthday, I have to sing. There's no way around it. I will not sing for pleasure, for joy. Constantine went way over on time with his messages, so we're short on chat time. Lorna point is taken. Carano, thank you so much. Thank you for the message, Ferrari guy. The central government spending rate, do you think it's been steady or sporadic? I'm not sure what you mean by central government spending rate. Well, one of the news I said is that subjects of Russian Federation, not regions, not provinces, but towns and cities, come out on market to borrow money, and that's not good. I don't know whether they've been, they've definitely been spending steadily, okay, and they sometimes spend sporadically, but they're at the point where they cannot cover budget deficit of at least two cities. Vladivostok is a big deal. Oryol, and I'm sure there are many more, and we will hear about them very soon. Ruble, $1 trading at 100 rubles. My friends, it's not a good sign for Russia, and it's happening now. A couple days ago it was 103 rubles for $1. That's not good. Vernon Showers, thank you so much. No message, but pretty powerful message from South Africa. Thank you so much. Oh, there's a message. I'm sorry. Thanks for the news from inside Russia. Thank you so much, Vernon. Thank you. And Massachusetts, George, howdy. William Ruble, of course they will be fighting. No one's gonna adjust inflation, adjust their pay, inflation adjusting pay. No way. They're gonna be fighting for whatever they're fighting. And I heard that some are fighting for a lot of money and some are not paid. Okay, so that's complicated. But no one's gonna adjust their. I mean, it's just no. Don't even think about that. KG1, thank you so much. Should we believe that the Central Bank of Russia has substantially upgraded its growth outlook for the next 2 years? No. How? Raising the upper band for its outlook in 2024 by 2.5%. Hang on, let me process. I'm sorry. From one. They can come to Putin. See, they doing these numbers for Putin's pleasure, because he doesn't like to hear bad numbers. He wants to hear good numbers, okay? And it comes to a point where you raise your outlook for economy for 2023, and all of a sudden you have this ruble at 103, okay? And then this is your outlook. Goes down the drain. So based on what they're raising their upper band for their outlook, based on what conditions, economic conditions, tell me. Russia started GDP growing let's suppose that Russia stops producing military stuff right now. Whatever, it's not even a growth, it's at zero right now, okay? whatever level it is maintaining right now, if it stops producing missiles, guns, rockets, whatever, it'll just collapse overnight. Okay? What is saving Russian economy's butt is military spending by Russian government. That's not forever. So I don't understand where they get these numbers from. Okay, friends, thank you so much for coming. You know what this is? That's my prayer book, and I'd like to pray. I missed praying too. I prayed every day, but not with you, not publicly. Prayed for you, but I prayed alone with my son, with my wife, my mom, and that's about it. Because today is, I take pleasure in praying with all of you. Thank you so much. Let's do it. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this day. Thank you for giving us this life. Thank you for putting food on our tables and giving roofs over our heads. Thank you for surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Please help us, give us wisdom so we keep the skies above our children's heads peaceful. And we raise our children the way that when they grow up and become adults, they will do an outstanding job of making this world a better place. And will never be engaged in any kind of wars. For now, dear Lord, please keep our children safe and healthy. Please help stop the bloodshed in Ukraine as soon as possible. Reach out and touch the hearts and souls of people who are responsible and capable of making that decision. Open their eyes, fill their hearts with emotions, love, empathy, mercy, forgiveness, so they wake up from this whatever sleep they're sleeping, and they wake up and they make the decision to stop the bloodshed so people will not die anymore. Please help every single Ukrainian who has been affected by this terrible war. Answer the prayers, make their wishes come true. Please send every Ukrainian an angel, so the angels keep people from harm's way. Please help my country, Russia. Assemble your strongest team of strongest angels with sharpest swords, led by Saint Michael in shining armor, and send it like a heavenly avalanche onto this earth to get rid of the demons who have hijacked my country. Have Russia run by angels, not by demons. Have the angels make Russia peaceful, loved, loving, respected, and respectful. Dear Lord, please help everyone who is traveling, send them safe travels. Everyone who is seeking for asylum, especially those with families. Please help those who are not feeling well, addicted, homeless, jobless, hungry, depressed, with low self-esteem, not feeling well about their lives, struggling with their faith. Dear Lord, please shine your heavenly light upon people and give them, send them your word, surround them in your warmth, send love to their hearts so they feel better. They feel better about themselves, about their lives, about the world, about other people, and they will have a chance to stand up and be happy again. Dear Lord, please help all the Ukrainians who are suffering from the Russian strikes right now. Send help their way. Please help people of Maui who have gone through disaster. Please help them. Send necessary help their way. Thank you so much for creating this community, allowing us to create this community, helping us to create this community, and allowing us to come together every day and allow us to pray. Please help everyone who is praying right now along with me or simply watching us pray. Please answer everyone's prayers and make everyone's wish come true. Dear Lord, I would like to help you, to ask you to help people who need your help. They are a little girl, Sarah. We all would like to thank you for sending her a little bit of recovery and sending her a little bit of strength. We keep on praying for her. She needs your help more than ever. Please help her. Send her strength, send her recovery, and help and bless those doctors who are helping her. Also, please help her family and parents who are praying and who are stronger in faith than ever. Sarah and her family need your help real bad. Please help and send angels. Please help Frank in Texas, K. Paul with Lyme disease. Make him feel better. Nina, Julie W., Janine, Margaret, Linda Trombley, Sarah Stokes. Please help China Bill, James Gens, Yorkie Mom, Hannah, Julia Haney, Paul, James family, Nathan, Susie Mailer, Jeffrey S. Please help with his knee surgery recovery. Dave, Gloria Roberts and her brother. Tired, needs sleep. Please help with insomnia. Greg, Jim and Shirley Hall, Ann Larson, Delaney and her two daughters, Ann Larson's family and daughter Hannah, Florentina, Mac's family, Patty L., Shirley Morin, CKOC, Liz Dumbrell, Amir's Uncle Dickie. Please, God, have soul of Ruth rest in peace and take her under your wing. Alona, and please help Alona and her boys. Please help Paul, Faith brother, Susan, Rudy Kaisley, Darla, Bip, White Lightning, Liz Dumbrell's family, George Ruberty, Dave Strain, Pam, Larry, Brittany S., Yelena, Natasha, Jake, Michael, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Bonnie, Svetlana, Karen, Janine, Michael Milkowitz, Marlene, Paul Beans, Richard, Mallory M., Dirk, Linda, Lars Henrik and Lars Henrik's mother, Terry, Brittany S., Hannah and her children, Richard Burris, Angelica Life, and Scan Family's grandson, Barb, Randolph, Verlinda's niece, Rafaela Fromm, Doug, Priscilla Michelin, King Nero, Gaby Hyman, Donald, Deborah, Lisa's son, Jade Kaltenberg, Allison Dave Moyers, Maureen M. and her sister, Mr. Hanson, Heidi, Bob, Matt, Ashley and family, Mr. Dean Spooner, his church called Our Savior Lutheran Church, Lisa Cumrian, Jacob, Adam Oliver, Treasure, Grace Philosophy, please send her recovery and shine your light onto her wonderful family and granddaughters. Maggie, Gina, Wayfarer, Paramedics Liz, Lori Miles' husband, Sherry, Layla, Philip's mother, Wayne, Shirley, and Debbie, Jen Allen, Finola, Stefan from Sweden, the Highwayman, Essie from the Scottish Isles, Outlander and family, David Porter and his family, and everyone in Chernovtsi, Ukraine, Choriz and family, enjoy every minute. Lars, Susan Marshall, Beulah, Lazarus, Boss Salmon, Alvin's sister, Teresa D, Marsha Tucker, Terry Carter, Jordan Lee McMahon, Meta Spencer, Diana and her family, Bree's friend, Taylor Fleming, Albina Fell, Michael Yukon, Joel, Life, Karine Vasseur, Pamela J, and Lindsay. Dear Lord, I'd like to ask for a few special children. They are Cadence, Maverick, Ava, Theo Madi, Sebastian Coulter, Karin Vasseur's niece and Ansley. Please send them recovery. Make them feel better. Send strength to their families. Please help all the children of Ukraine who have been affected by this terrible tragedy. Also, all children of Russia. Please help children who are not feeling well, who are sick. Send them recovery and send strength to their families. Thank you so much, dear Lord. Thank you, amen. My friends, thank you so much. It's absolutely fantastic to be back, to deliver a message, to prepare, to deliver, to converse, and to pray. Thank you for giving me this chance. It's my honor to have you here. You're absolutely awesome, and you rock. I will definitely be here tomorrow, and day after tomorrow, and day after tomorrow, so as usual. Please come back for another message, and before I leave the usual, I want you to say out loud along with me one thing. Carthago delenda est.